Are there some questions from the crowd? Yes, ma'am.
My question to you is, you sort of developed very early in discovering who what you were.
Yeah, yeah. And you're saying why, or why do I think? Yeah. I don't know that anyone has a time. You know, everyone has a place. I was at a place of 17 on. Ever since my parents were divorced, there was a great deal of pain. And whatever it took, it did. I did suffer, and I think that I was of that nature. And it was only through writing that I could really deal with what was around me. And I'd never written in school particularly well. I wasn't really a writer in English. I never had done it. This was a way to deal with life because it was pain. It was a source of pain. So it doesn't matter. I think some people start at 40. Some people start as late as in their 50s even. And I think there's a recent case of a woman having written a book in her 70s or 80s. It was very successful last year about her own history of family.
Oliver Stone. If I were to make a docudrama or a fake documentary about your life and blurred the lines between fact and fiction, how would you feel about that?
Well, you know, I think you're being a little sarcastic, but to be honest, you know, you would have to be very specific as to what you mean by fact and show me that they were facts. People who are very cavalier assume certain facts about the Kennedy murder, and they're not there.
I'm referring also to your treatment of Andy Warhol in The Doors, for example, slamming or possibly ridiculing people based on your own personal opinion rather than factual information or along those lines?
Well, Andy Warhol, a lot of people thought it was a very accurate portrayal of the way he spoke and acted. He had a tonality, according to many eyewitnesses, like that. But it's always because it's subject to interpretation. You can disagree with that interpretation of it.
Thank you.
We have a question over here from a Vietnam veteran.
Over Jolla 68, 69, 70. You stayed 15 months, not 12, and it's always puzzled me why the government was so kind and gave you that extra time.
The gentleman was wondering why I spent 15 months in Vietnam and not the requisite. It was 12 months at that time for the military, and I believe 13 months for the Marines. The reason I did 15 months was there was a program in the Army that allowed you to extend your tour 3 months, for which they would let you go at the end of that 15 months instead of going on and continuing another 6 months in the stateside Army. That's why I took that option. I didn't want to do 6 more months in the Army.
I'm a great admirer of all of your work, the whole body of your work.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome back. Yeah.
How about here's a question from a woman outside here.
Yeah, I would like to know, Mr. Stone, you were talking about, kind of describing your conflict, your interpersonal conflict, and comparing it to Hamlet. How do you see yourself as comparing yourself to the character in Heaven and Earth?
Heaven and Earth is sitting right here on my right. Her name is Layli Hayslip. She wrote the book. She wrote the book When Heaven and Earth Changed Places, and I based the movie on that. And she was very, very important in my life, very influential. Her movie is a great story about a Vietnamese woman who comes to America after many setbacks in Vietnam, including the destruction of her village and nearly the destruction of her family. She finds her way to America and ends up in the movie married to Tommy Lee Jones, who was a hero in Vietnam. And then in the movie, the whole thing reverses, and the Tommy Lee Jones character slips away and loses his psychic integrity and commits suicide, whereas the character of Layli Hayslip gets stronger and stronger in the country, partly because of the movie is a movie about Buddhism and about the restorative faith and tissue of Buddhism, and the woman is able, in an extraordinary theme, to forgive those people who hurt her in the course of her life, and I find that to be very moving and inspirational.
There's a gentleman in the green sweater, and how many more do you want? Oh, wait, excuse me, sir. Here's a question from a little boy.
A little boy.
All right.
I don't know if he's a little boy.
Hello, Mr. Stone. My name is Adam Gary, fan and advocate of yours and fellow writer. I've written... Thank you. I've written some poems here, and one I wrote just today, and you are a very good director, and I like your films. Unlike some people, you don't make a Hollywood mockery of history, but you state the facts, and you give it right at them. Seeing as that you're a director and I'm but a civilian, here's some poems I'd like to give to you, and well, as I say, take it or leave it.
The gentleman in the green sweater.
Yes, Mr. Stone, under what conditions do you write? Are you a prolific writer? Do you scratch out in notebooks? Do you sit down and look out a window? Do you have an office?
No, I like to write at home. I like to write in a quiet place, and I like to write in the daytime mostly, and make notes all through the day and through time. I keep notes on me all the time, walk around with observations.
I see a Vietnam veteran, sir. Can you, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Simple question. What's next?
I wish I had a simple answer. It's not, I've been this book, and I also did a movie. They've taken a lot out of me. So I'm next year I'll be making another picture.
Good.
I hope and to write another book too. Frankly, I'm interested in this period. I like to personalize some things on film. If Platoon is very close to me, as you know, and I've done films where I've used other people like Laylee and Ron Kovic and Morrison, and I've sort of parts of me are in all those people. But perhaps it's time to make an attempt on film to get a little closer to myself, maybe at the age of 20, and maybe push on from 20 to 50, you know, because it's a long haul. They do that a lot in European films, and we don't do it in American films. Woody Allen's about one of the few who actually does it, but I think of Bergman and I think of Fellini and Truffaut as good examples to follow. So maybe in that direction.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
One more question.
Sure.
How about one more question from Daryl Templer, who was in the Navy in Vietnam?
When you came back from Vietnam, you consider yourself to have been the first, I think that's probably true assault. How long did that take you to realize
If you could repeat that one.
How long did it take to
yeah.
Yeah.
the depth of change?
Yeah, this gentleman has been in Vietnam in the Navy, and he was asking the kind of changes that occurred in Vietnam. I can't speak for everybody, but it seems to me that we all, those people who went through some testing over there and some suffering, have had a problem coming back to a society that was not really at war. It wasn't a situation that was normal. Society in the 1960s, if you remember, was making a lot of money. The 1960s were a boom period, and most people were indifferent to the war. They were not against it. They were just making money and carrying on with their lives. So we missed a step. We came back, and I think that we were very much in the shadows. And I think that was a problem for a lot of people, as we know from the suicide rates and the alcoholism and the drug taking. So it changed us forever, and I don't know that I can speak for, as I said, for everyone, because we all went through different versions of it. But some of us seems to have reintegrated. I know Laylee is in pretty good shape. She got 3 husbands now. and she's looking for a 4th. But, she looks pretty good. So welcome home. I'm glad you look in good shape too. Most of you who I meet are in pretty good shape that I see, veterans, and you have reintegrated. Thank you. It's up to you.
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you for coming.